Hey all, Reddit Jedi here with the best Reddit stories. Update. My 32F husband, 36M, became a robot and I don't know how to help him. Hey everybody, here's the update. I wrote this a couple days ago but couldn't post it because it was too soon. My husband came home at around 6 o'clock, and after he had something to eat I took him to the bedroom to talk. I sat him down on the bed and told him I was worried about him. I didn't know exactly how to phrase my worries, so I just showed him my original post. When he finished reading the post he started crying, like full-on crying. In all the years that I have known this man, I had never seen a tear roll down his eye. I held him for a few minutes until he could recompose himself, and he told me everything. He told me that the world was in a shitty place right now, and that we're bringing a child into a stressful time. He said when I became pregnant he felt he had to step up. He needed to take care of things because it was his responsibility. He said that the weight of carrying the family was so much harder than he anticipated, so he thought if he doubled down, he could get through it. But the more he tried, the darker the tunnel got, and eventually he couldn't see an end. He said that he feels like he's constantly drowning, and the only breath of fresh air is on the car ride between home and work. He said that sometimes the stress is so much that he throws up, but doesn't tell anyone and instead keeps going with his day. He then pulled out a pack of gum from his pocket and said, this was for when it happens. I asked him why he couldn't tell me any of this, and he said he didn't want to burden me with the truth. He said that he thought if he told me everything, that I would stop seeing him as a protector and provider, and that I would inevitably stop loving him. Hearing him say that brought tears to my eyes because I didn't know where he got the notion I would feel that way. I asked him if he wanted to quit his job, but surprisingly he said the job doesn't bother him. He said the work in of itself was fine. It's just now he feels an added weight to provide because not only was he fortunate enough to keep his job in the pandemic, but we also had a kid on the way. He said that some days he feels like packing a suitcase and running to some tropical island for a week and not telling anyone. But then he feels guilty and doubles down even more. I told him that maybe he should go on a trip. I said that he deserved a break, and maybe if he did exactly that he'd feel better. He tried to protest, but I insisted. In the end said that he'll only go if we go together. Like a romantic getaway between spouses. Once things start to clear up and before the baby is due, he wants to take a week off from work, drop the kids off at grandma's house and have us go on a vacation. Just the two of us, like we used to when we first got married. He also said he wants to take the day off tomorrow and just sleep in, so that's the plan. I'll call his boss tomorrow and say that he's sick and can't come in. It's not like they'll make a sick man come into work. There's a pandemic going on, smiley face. Right now he's playing with the kids and it doesn't feel like he's doing one of his chores. He actually seems to be enjoying himself. For the first time in months I don't see the robot, I see my husband. Edit. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for the support. I read all of your comments, and I appreciate all of you. I didn't expect this to get so much traction, so I want to clarify some things. First things first, my husband says hi. I wanted to clarify about the chores people are taking about. I want to say that I know as a som the bulk of chores goes to me. I cook and clean and do laundry because I know it's my responsibility. My husband's only chores are doing dishes, vacuuming every 3 days, and a few other house maintenance stuff. I did in fact call in sick for my husband, but I made sure that I said he had a migraine. I saw on Google that it wasn't a symptom of COVID if it was an isolated symptom. His boss was okay with it and said he can come back whenever he feels better. The pregnancy wasn't an accident. We both did want to have 3 kids because we were both raised in 3-kid families. We actively tried for the first 2, but for baby number 3 it was kind of a, if it happens it happens, kind of thing. We're both happy with the amount of kids we will have and are hopefully done. We are not considering abortion nor adoption. We realize that a 1-week vacation isn't enough to get rid of his stress and are both trying to come up with a solution that alleviates his stress in a more sustainable way. Right now we're thinking about setting up an hour or 2 a day that's daddy's time. No kids, no me, no work. Just for him to relax. To those of you who think this fake, there isn't any way I can change your minds about this situation, so I'm not really too bothered. I just hope this never happens to you guys. You all have been supportive and really a wonderful bunch of people. I really think we can get through this, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. I'm not going to reply to comments because, like last time, it's an overwhelming amount. But just know I'm reading these as they come in. Good night everyone, it's been great. On top of that, you are to be commended for noticing him and making an effort to communicate. That's incredible and we are all wishing the best for you. That'd be funny if she called him in sick to work tomorrow and then came into the bedroom to make sure he was comfortably sleeping and found an actual metal panel on the back of his head full of wires and circuitry. Edit, only saying this because she said that was her intent. After reading the original post and this one, his words could have been my own. I am where he's at, just without a spouse who notices. I even tried to tell her and it just made her mad. So glad he has someone like you. I'm sorry that you feel this way, friend. Maybe it would help if you had your read these posts, she might get the hint. I know that it very well may do nothing, but it might help her see. If not, as a person who was married and isn't anymore, what is the point of spending your life with someone who isn't genuinely interested in being a part of it? If you can't get the emotional support you need from your life partner, who are you supposed to get it from? I'm not necessarily advocating divorce. If you can work it out, that would be amazing, especially if children are involved. But something has to change. No one can live in despair without being damaged by it. Life is shorter than we think. We should try to get all the happiness we can out of it, and try to share that joy with others. Remember that on the airplane they ask you to put your own mask on first, otherwise you're no good to anyone else. Take care and be well. I'm just hijacking this top comment because I want to tell that this is a lot more common than most people think, and both of you should really look into prioritizing your mental health. It is crucial to continue to work and focus on our mental health even, and maybe especially, when we're not struggling with it, because that's when you have the mental and emotional clarity to ensure it stays that way. Just like people who stop taking their medication when they feel better leads to even greater episodes when they crash again, if you don't prioritize your mental health when you feel perfectly fine, you're setting yourself up for a crash where it becomes impossible to prioritize your mental health because it is already compromised. That means setting up a plan ahead of time, figuring out what signs and symptoms are early indicators, figure out how to quickly de-stress, take frequent, no-work weekends and draw a hard line between work and home life. This is not just advice for people with other mental health conditions, this is for everyone. We live in an extraordinarily stressful age. No matter what your opinions are, we live in a politically polarized, economically and mentally unpredictable and frightening age. Understand that. Respect that. Know that it's not your fault. And most of us are not even properly processing it. Culturally, men are conditioned to be stoic, to put their needs aside and protect and provide for their family, and to be a rock. This is not a super healthy way to live. Not even in times of peace. But especially not in times of sudden stress. COVID hit us so fast, and disrupted our lives so substantially, that we haven't had time to adjust our feelings and reactions to it. It was just here, overnight, and we're still trying to live our lives the way we used to, when that's not an option. It results in men stacking stress atop stress until the brain literally just collapses and results in your husband reacting the way he did. Stress kills. I know this is a cliche and I know we all pretend to understand that, but we don't. It literally kills you. And before it kills you, it will transform you into a different person. People don't understand the true implications of that. But what you're describing about your husband can happen to any of us. It's just biochemistry. Stress will eat your mind until it takes your life. Take it seriously. I know it isn't easy to do so. We do not live in a country that takes this seriously. Most of the Western, modernized world doesn't take this seriously. And so we are, as a people, unhealthy and unhappy, and have an actually downward trending life expectancy. So it may sometimes feel weird to prioritize your mental health. You may get a little pushback from an employer or friends. Ignore them. This is your life. This is your health. You need to put it first, above promotions, above work. Everything else in life comes after protecting your sanity and mental health, because without that, nothing else is possible. This has been happening all across the US, at least, and the fact that he was so substantially improved by taking a vacation just demonstrates that you need to focus on substantial and meaningful rest and relaxation. You need to take it as often as possible, and to treat it not like a luxury, but as a medical necessity. Because it is. Often we ourselves are not even aware when our mental health is deteriorating, or why. But many times it's because stress slowly eats away at us. Make sure he understands this, and I would strongly recommend you both develop some kind of plan to help check in on each other, your stress levels, and to take sick days and vacation days when they are available and necessary. America in particular had an unhealthy relationship with work before the pandemic, and now adding that on top of an unhealthy work-life balance has just exacerbated the problem. I can tell you that I, and a lot of people I know, experienced very similar situations. I was feeling lost, overwhelmed, unable to do my job. I work from home now, which I thought would make working much easier, but instead it felt like I was never getting away from work. It was always there now, and we didn't even have children or the additional stressors you mentioned your husband having. I can tell you that the day I told management I was taking vacation time, I literally felt like a different person. It was remarkable. Just the sheer weight off my mental load was astounding. And like I mentioned, this is very, very common for so many people out there. If you are a man experiencing this, it doesn't mean you're weak or bad or unworthy or any of the other absurd labels culture has taught you to put on yourself. It means you're a healthy person in very difficult times who needs the right tools to stay healthy. We wear masks and PPE in public to prevent getting infected. We need PPE for our minds to help us stay healthy through difficult times. Especially for men, do not try and tough your way through this. It is not noble or admirable. Do not go it alone. The best possible thing you can do for your family is seek help and retain your mental health. You may not think your stress affects you, but your family can tell. They know when you withdraw. They know when you're bottling up and not dealing with your stress. If you legitimately want to help your family, take care of yourself so that you can take care of them. I know we're all ambitious, we're all worried about staying employed as layoffs pile up, but remember that you can't help yourself or your families when your mental health is not stable. Better to need to be looking for a job but mentally healthy, than working yourself into a state where your mental health collapses, which can lead to serious consequences. Just adding on, because I can't upvote that sentiment enough, therapy is not only for people with mental health issues. We go see a general health practitioner even when we're 100% healthy because they have the skills to diagnose us and either confirm we're healthy or recognize something concerning and do something about it before we become unhealthy. The same is true for therapy. Going to a therapist does not mean you have a problem. It means you recognize your mental health as one of the most valuable things you possess and that you are going to someone whose job it is to help you preserve it. We take mental health for granted, but any of us can have an issue with it. Like any other health issues, mental health issues can be acute or chronic. You can have a bout of depression that's not clinical depression but still a very difficult thing to deal with, and you deserve to have someone who can help you understand what you're going through, why, and how to make it easier for you and your loved ones. We are our own minds, and so we do not realize when we're losing control or things are going wrong. Our brain does not like to admit it has a problem. Our brains will deceive and lie to us. Therapists are there to listen to you describe your current situation. They can point out things like, it sounds like you are more stressed than normal. Have you considered taking a mental health day? Most companies have policies mandating that sick days can be used for mental health days. That means you do not need to be bedridden with the flu to use a sick day. You can use it when things are getting a little bit too much to handle and you need a day of mental decompression and relaxation. Therapists can write notes to your workplace explaining that they recommended this course of action, and they will back you up if you need them. These are basic human needs. Believe me when I tell you that your mental health is everything. It is the source of happiness. It is the ability to carry out your dreams. To care for others. All of it comes from mental health. Therapists don't judge, and you don't need to have an illness to see one. Not every therapist is right for you. Shop around until you find one who clicks and see them every 6 months, or a year, just to check in. It's worth it.